Hello, everybody. Oh, let's get rid of that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. Bit of a different show tonight. We're going to be splitting this into two halves. So the first half of the show, we will be talking about the sad passing of Mr. Tamir this week. So we are joined from the Hobby Company by Mr. Andrew Farmer, and by our regulars, Mr. Drew Manton and Mr. Ian Hartup. So, chaps,
good evening.
Shall we, Andy, what are your memories of meeting Mr. Tamir?
Well, I first met him in 2008 at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. I joined the Hobby Company in 2007 and attended the Nuremberg Toy Fair for a good few years after that. So it was first 2008 when I physically met him. Obviously a tremendous privilege.
Mm-hmm.
The man had an aura about him, quite rightly. Impeccably dressed, cool, calm and collected. Absolutely very approachable, in as much that his English was conversational, but wasn't ultimately fantastic, but he always relied on a translator. But he could hold a conversation. But you were just in awe of the man. And I say, you can understand why and where what he's achieved over the many, many years with plastic modeling. So I say 2008, I last saw him probably pre-COVID, 2018, 2019, when I last went to the show. But a very, very sad moment for the industry. I think his contribution to what we all benefit from today is absolutely insurmountable. Really is.
Mm-hmm. I'll just read through part of his biography here. He was born on the 19th of December 1934. He graduated from Shizuoka Prefectural High School in 1953. 1958, March 1958, he graduated from Waseda University. And then in April 1958, he joined Tamir Shoji and Company. So being part of the family is obviously there from a very early period in their transition into plastic model kits. Then in 1960, appointed head of product planning division, and then the monumental moment, August the 1st, 1969, appointed executive director of the Tamiya Plastic Model Company. So I think it's probably fair to say that the Tamiya that we know and love really was his, the plastic kit side of things really was his steering, wasn't it? It was his.
Well, it's worth mentioning the fact that go back to his early beginnings, he was born into a family of relative poverty.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of six. He was the eldest of six brothers. He was the first one to attain, obviously, university status, which his other brothers never did. His mother died at 51 years of age with leukemia, having also got earlier bad anemia, acute anemia. But she basically sacrificed a lot of her life, her income, her resources to keeping the six brothers going.
Mm-hmm.
And the ironic thing was that the day that Mr. Tamiya was due to graduate from university was also the day of his mother's funeral. She died a few days previously. So a very surreal moment, but I say from very abject beginnings. So you also have to appreciate that it was the end of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Shizuoka had been flattened. Everything needed to be rebuilt. So the whole country, and certainly Shizuoka, was in a bad way. But I think for him to rise from the ashes and achieve what he's done is nothing short of remarkable, really.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's whichever way you cut that is a life well lived. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, the early days, it wasn't plastic; it was all wooden models. So you had, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, in elementary schools, they called it in Japan, they were all given models to make out of wood. It was either a ship or a plane. And I'll try to think of the story. He had this model to construct of a plane, and he wasn't satisfied with it. And part of the construction was a piece of bamboo which he broke in the construction, and he nagged his mother to get him another piece of bamboo, which obviously cost some money to rectify this plane because he wasn't satisfied with the construction. Anyway, he did it, and cut a long story short, when the kids at the school went to test the planes, his plane flew the furthest because he had spent the time getting it to perfection. And it's that getting it to perfection that was obviously the mark of the man in what he's achieved with Tamiya.
Mm-hmm. We've got a comment here from Mr. Roy Sutherland, who says he's been with Tamiya longer than I've been alive, and I'm no spring chicken. R.I.P. Mr. Tamiya.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, Roy. So, chaps, what was your first kind of exposure or introduction to the Tamiya brand? So, Drew, we'll kick off with you. Where I
think my first Tamiya kit was? I think my first Tamiya kit was the 1/35 scale Sergeant York.
Good Lord!
Ooh, classic.
As a sort of 13 or 14-year-old, because I can remember that being released. Because I mean, this was a time when Tamiya obviously had a footprint in the model industry, a huge one even at that time. But they weren't really big on aeroplanes. They'd done a few over the years here and there, but they hadn't really broken into aircraft at that point. But they were well known for their 35th scale armor. And I can remember all these early 80s kits turning up at the local, it was actually an RC shop called the Digi Hangar in Yeovil. And I can remember all these kits turning up in the window, the Abrams and the Challenger and the Sergeant York and all those kits in the early 80s, and I'm fairly certain that was my first Tamiya kit. Yeah.
How did you become aware of the company, other than perhaps just being present in model shops?
Scale models.
Mm-hmm.
Scale models from sort of 1979, 1980, when my brother started getting scale models each month, and there was invariably, I mean, apart from the advertising, which was Ricoh, there was invariably something Tamiya related in any given edition of scale models, wasn't there? In one form or another. So I think that was where I first became aware of Tamiya, and they've always been, relative to everybody else in the industry, they've always been kind of that one cut above, haven't they, in terms of execution and reputation. But I always think we got to sort of the turn of the century, sort of 2000 sort of time, and ever since then, really, with any single Tamiya kit, if something goes wrong when you're building it, it's something you've done. It's they are so highly engineered, so well engineered, so precise, so well thought out, that if you get something wrong, it's on you.
We've got some viewer memories here. Paul Dunham says, my first Tamiya was the motorized Jagdpanther, built when I was about 10. Better than anything I had built before, and more fun to play with. Jim Altegott says, my very first Tamiya kit was the 35th scale motorized Jagdtiger, either 1977 or 1978. And Sarah Jane makes a very good point. She says, didn't Tamiya set 135th as a scale for military models?
Yes, they did, and the reason why is because it was the only scale that could accommodate 2 AA-sized batteries into the chassis. So all the early models were obviously motorized, and he was playing around with the design, and the only batteries that would fit were AA size. So he moved the scale to 135th, and it's stuck with that ever since.
I love that. That is so great.
Absolutely true story.
So great.
Jonathan, if you go back to that previous slide with the Formula One, because there's a story there to be told as well.
Yeah, sure. There we go.
Okay, so what we've got here is Mr. Tamiya. Chap in the middle is Glyn Pearson. He used to be a director of Richard Constam Limited. I've worked with Glyn because obviously he transferred to the hobby company back in the early 2000s. And on the right, you've got Bernie Ecclestone. But Tamiya became very involved with Formula One because Richard Constam were also very well connected with it. But what many people don't know is that JPS Lotus in the early 70s came under tremendous financial distress, and Mr. Tamiya actually made a contribution towards their survival fund, so to speak. And in recognition of that, it was one of the later Grand Prix, I think of 73. I might be mistaken on that, but it wasn't advertised the fact that was the case. But a guy called Peter Waugh, he put a Tamiya sticker on the rear spoiler of the JPS Lotus, which at the time was driven by Mika Hakkinen in his early days. So obviously there's this JPS Lotus with a Tamiya logo on both rear spoilers going around, but basically a recognition of the contribution that Mr. Tamiya had made to the survival of JPS Lotus.
I've got to double check that one. That might not be the JPS car by that point, because Mika didn't start driving till the 102 era. But I know that there are a number of pictures in my references from any time from the early 70s all the way through the 80s. And there's Tamiya decals on F1, on mainly, like you say, mainly on Lotus cars all the way through that period. You see them on end plates and on pit sides and stuff like that. The 72, the 12 scale Lotus 72 that they did. That, I'm coming into that story, I believe that's referencing into what you just talked about.
Possibly, as I say, I'm working from memory on it, but that was certainly the case, that he made a contribution towards their
because Mika Yeah, Mika drove much later for Lotus.
Yeah.
In fact, they did a special edition of the 102, might be the C or the D, that had, which was done specifically for Mika's car, and that is massively collectible as a kit.
Absolutely, yeah. And when they reissue it these days, it still periodically makes an appearance. It still sells phenomenally well.
Yeah, because that one, I don't think they've ever reissued that limited one. There was obviously the
No.
Was as a standard offering, which is a corky little kit. I didn't say that, but yeah, that one was. I foolishly sold mine at some point, and then spent the next 10 years going, I wish I'd never sold that damn thing. And I can't get another one now for under about 150 quid when they come up. When they do come up, they don't come up in big numbers. But
it was Richard Constam himself. Who suggested to me that they should go into the world of Formula One, because it was obviously growing in popularity back in those early days, and that's when they came up with the Honda, the first 1/12 scale Honda. So interesting times.
Ian, what was your entry into the world of Tamiya then?
So I grew up in a town called Pontefract in West Yorkshire, and there was a street that ran through Pontefract, the Roper Gate, and on one side of the road there was a hardware shop that was run by two gentlemen, and that had Airfix paints. And they're like a big curved window, and there was always Airfix kits around this window. Opposite, there was a craft store with things like plaster cast painting and stuff like that. But it was run by the wives of the two guys that and the hardware store, and that had the Tamiya kits in it. There was a Tamiya paint rack. They always had a full Humbrol rack in there as well. And then they had quite a few of the Tamiya kits. And like Drew was referencing, they did some early 48 scale aircraft. They did a Zero and a Zeke and a Raiden and a Roof. And I think the first, I'm trying to remember, there was two kits in my memory that were the first Tamiya kits I built. And I built the Roof really early on. And I also built the 35th scale Flak 88 with the crew and I think it came with an STKF 7 in the pack, like a bigger package. Mm-hmm. They did them both individually and I saved up to buy that thing, because in those days it was, a considerable amount of investment in one of them. And I remember building that, and it came with vinyl tubing. It's the same vinyl tubing you get in the cars for things like fuel lines and stuff, to wrap around the spools for the cabling. And I remember doing that and then to go back down to the ladies and say, what else can I use for this? Because I'd made a right mess of it, and tried to glue it with plastic cement and basically melted the spool.
Oh dear, yeah.
So I must have been 13, 14 at that point. Mm-hmm. So we're talking 82-ish for me. But yeah, the Roof I built in the grey, all over pale grey skim. I remember that vividly, because it had raised lines on the float for painting the red bands if you didn't use the decals. So I attempted to mask it and paint it, and it didn't go well. But
we've got some more Tamiya memories from viewers here. Travis Thompson says, Dad got me into RC, so my first was a Grasshopper. Keith says, my first Tamiya kit was a 135th Tiger 1. Paul Voyle says, my first was the A10, love Tamiya. Lox 9 says, my cousin building the Schwimmwagen from 1970. Dave Swindle also says that thing about the battery size. Apparently that's why we got 1/20th scale cars as well. Yeah. Nick Brown says, my first Tamiya kit I bought after seeing it reviewed in Sam, the 1/48 scale Mosquito PR4. It looks stunning, and it built well, I think he means. And Roy Sutherland says, my first Tamiya kit was the 1/35th scale Sturmutsch. I can never say that. Sturmutsch 3, back around 1972. Scrolls down. Theron says, I want to say my first Tamiya kit was the roof. Peter Goes Rogue says my first Tamiya kit was the 1981 Porsche 928S 120th, built in 1982. I'm proud to say I still have the model today in my cabinet.
Rare one, that.
So we'll dive on in with some more viewer comments in a while. Andy, AF. So of course you one of your first jobs was being a branch manager at Beatties, wasn't it, in Bristol?
Indeed.
So
Well,
how
started-
did you become aware of the Tamiya brand then?
Well, just hark back to the previous conversation about early Tamiya kits. To this day, and it has been the case for the last probably 45, 50 years, the consistently best-selling kit in the Tamiya range is the 35065 Panther. It sells thousands upon thousands every year, and it has been surpassed by many, but it still sells phenomenally well because it sells below £20. Given its age, and yes, there are frailties on the kit these days compared to modern ones, but it still fits together and it still sells phenomenally well.
Yeah, that's one that even Russ confirms that every time we speak to him.
Absolutely.
Sells boxes of them every week.
Boxes of them, absolutely. So again, I think that's a testimony to the longevity of the design and obviously the ongoing success with it. But to answer your question,
this was from 4 or 5 years ago. This is when we did the Panther Challenge, which I do believe was your suggestion, Mr. Farmer, was to take the basic Tamiya kit and apply modelling skills to it. And this was mine. Spence, I'll try and bring up Spencer's in a moment. But that's the old Tamiya Panther, given some love and attention. Nothing, no aftermarket. This is just purely paint and imagination. And I mean, to me, I know there are, as you say, there are frailties with the kit, but to me, it just epitomizes, Tamiya.
It's that kit is lightning in a bottle, isn't it? It's just,
absolutely.
For however long, what is it? Must be approaching 60 years old now.
60 years old, gotta be, yeah.
And not only is it still selling, but it's not selling. It's not selling as a tribute or a throwback. It's selling as a kit that people want to buy and build. It's not like some Tamiya classic range or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the range that they sell boxes of them every week.
Well, they replaced it, didn't they? I mean, they came out with a new tool Panther early 2000s, something like that. It was a G and a steel wheeled one. But that one still sells because it's price point led as well, isn't it? Under 20 quid.
But if you look at the top 50 selling Tamiya kits, probably 2/3 are military kits.
Yeah. And
of those military kits, a vast proportion are the earlier kits. So you start with a 35009 Panzerkampfwagen, you go to the 20, the Hanomag, the sandbag, the jerry cans, the barricades, the SAS Jeep, all the flak guns. You get to 35065 Panther, the Walker Bulldog just behind it, and the Chieftain 35068. They're all still consistent daily sellers.
That Chieftain kit, I absolutely love that Chieftain kit because it's entirely of its era, and the same with the Panther. It's flawed in many ways because of when it was tooled and the rest of it. It just builds an absolute dream, and you can slap it together in an afternoon. And paint it in the evening almost, and what you get is this 60-ton main battle tank after sort of 4 or 5 hours work. It's just entirely in keeping with why it's so popular.
And I'm also going to say that a lot of the kits that Andy just mentioned formed the nucleus of Mr. Pollard's legacy collection, his legacy builds. And if he's watching tonight, Spence, I hope you can find the time at some stage to do something, do another one of those, because I know joining in on that, it was tremendous fun.
It was.
It really, really was.
Yeah, the sad days of the COVID days, but I mean that was a phenomenally successful effort, and there's so much positivity came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your original question, Jonathan,
Mm-hmm.
I started work back in 1980 at Beatties in Birmingham. Left school and decided to go down the job route. And like all of us here and many others watching, I was of the Airfix generation. I grew up building Airfix plastic kits, and all of a sudden you go into Beatties and you're seeing what amounted to a 3 meter wall display of Tamiya kits, and how your attitude soon changed, because you think, what is this I'm seeing compared to Airfix, and complete contrast. And things evolved on, and it got to the stage where, when a new release came out, the box came through the back door, and all of a sudden you were ripping the box open to find this new kit, and you had to take the box lid off to investigate what's inside. And particularly when radio control started, you just had to sit back and go, wow, what have they done here? The presentation, the packaging, the instructions, it was a whole new level. And I say it's always been the same ever since then. So yeah, I was an Airfix man, but suddenly realised that Tamiya was something else, and of course you never forget it. I have the privilege now of being able to sell it.
And then
I think the thing with Tamiya as well is that they are truly a global brand.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. It's so many other companies who do great stuff from Japan, and even these days, Airfix isn't really a global brand. And people in the States are always talking about how impossible it is to get hold of new Airfix releases. To me, as a global brand, those releases hit globally within a couple of weeks, don't they?
Yeah, usually within 48 to 72 hours, you'll see.
But Tamiya they'll even schedule releases to a certain market first. The UK's had releases first a couple of times. The US has had releases first a couple of times. It's not that they don't follow that standard route of it just kind of percolates out. They actually choose their marketing with a product.
Well, the episode around the 911 GT3 this last year kind of proves what they know exactly when they want that to be seen and hit and arrive and everybody to start talking about it. They schedule everything so carefully, don't they? And I think coming back to what we were just saying about the hit list, that top 50s list, it does support something that's been said. We, the guys that sit and talk like ourselves and are a very small part of this hobby.
Oh yeah, we're not the target market.
And that marketplace that's buying that Panther for 20, a lot of the guys that we would deal with, they'll go, oh, I know, I'll go and have a tack on one or whatever because I want all the extra detail. But the guys who are just building for them, buy the basics, buy the kit, buy the glue, go and build it, are still buying those, and it's not. And I think possibly it's because the reputation is you can just pick it up and build it. And that there isn't a difficulty to it. They're great, and I think that's possibly why we see. You look at that again. You come back to that list and things like the Hanamag and stuff like that. What a great little kit that is in its time. I've built that many times over the years, and it's quite a nice palette cleansing kit. You can chuck it together, paint it, weather it, like you say, in a couple of days, and have something passable. Oh, yeah, that's lovely. Move on. And I think that's possibly where the Tamiya kits win, because they're engineering.
Come in.
Yeah.
The engineering behind them is so good that it doesn't matter how old that kit is, it will still build really well.
Absolutely.
A lot of product from a lot of other manufacturers, if it was that age, we would really not be building it.
I think Ian's poltergeist wants in on the show for some
normally
reason.
That kind of sound indicates a cat.
Yeah.
No, in this instance, it's a poster that I propped up in the back corner that's blown over because I've got the loft windows open tonight because it was rather warm up here when I got up here earlier.
Yeah, you started out with.
Can I just say? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say you started out with Beatties in the West Midlands.
Yeah.
But then you made the move, didn't you?
I did. I moved to Bristol. They dangled me a carrot which I couldn't turn down. So I spent 5 very happy years at Beatties in Bristol as store manager, and I came across a certain, what's his name? Jonathan Mock.
Oh.
Yeah,
him.
And he's
Yeah, him,
haunted
him,
you ever since.
him.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, long-haired fella. Yeah, looked a bit rough and ready, but it was one of those things. But that's when you and I first met, of course. So start of a very long friendship. But yes, and of course I went on to join Humboldt and Airfix for 15 years, and then obviously found my way back to selling to me on the supply side. But very happy years. Well, I just got to go back to what you were saying previously, the longevity of the early kits, and of course, I think he mentioned in his autobiography how Tamiya struggled to adapt to the involvement of the plastic kit. They were heavily into wooden models. Their entire system was set up for wooden production. And when Revell, obviously Airfix came first, and then Revell in the States came to producing plastic kits, it took them by surprise, and they for years struggled to get into the groove. They had no molding facilities, design facilities, all sorts. So it took them a while to get going. But I say when they got going, phenomenal. But
We'll just play catch up with some comments here. So Lox9 says, my first Tamiya kit was a Morris Mini Cooper. Excellent choice. Sarah Jane clarifies for us. She says Tamiya Lotus 120D was done with Mika Hakkinen and is that Johnny Herbert?
Johnny Herbert, yeah.
Versions. I have both in the States. There we go. Sarah clarifies. Shane, good A Shane, he says, I hope Tamiya stick with making F1 kits and release and it ends on a cliffhanger.
A new one soon.
A new one.
The cost of designing a Formula One kit these days is absolutely astronomical.
It's also individual licenses, isn't it?
Licenses. And they want many Formula One teams now want an upfront payment in 6 figures, which is not an easy thing to overcome.
It's the cost of the tool, isn't it? 6 figures is the cost of the tool. So it's just there's a huge greed aspect going on, isn't there?
Formula One, what do you expect?
Well, yeah,
Formula One.
That's why I don't follow Formula One. So.
I mean, to be honest, it's any form of sporting now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be it motorsport or anything, the licensing is 90% of it.
Yep.
And you only have to look at even shirt production for people like the football teams and stuff like that. Some of those shirt people are paying them enormous amounts of money just to provide them with kit.
Yeah. Richard WL says, my first Tamiya kit was the 35th scale M106A3, a variant of the M113. Wish they would reissue that. There goes the pen. There we go. I was hoping we'd get
Was that
there you go, Richard, live on the show. That's
was that the one with the mortar in the back? It had the top of the cutout top of the back deck with a mortar in it and a couple of crew guys firing. I remember the box art for it vividly. I kept because it was one of those ones you kind of looked at it on the shelf and went, "Oh yeah, I'll build that one day," and then bought something else. And I never built it. I built the M113 and a couple of ones. They did an ambulance version as well, I think, didn't they? But that one, I'm not sure. I think that might have been that one.
Bear with. You're right, Ian. You are absolutely spot on.
Who'd have thought?
I'm just seeing if I can find some box art for it. No, I can't. There's a out of stock. There's a surprise. There's a news story for you. Here we go. Share screen. That's the one. That's it. Goodness me, I want one now.
Blimey. I'm impressed with my own memory there, considering the rest of it is shot. That's quite cool.
I'm very certain Francois will have done a diorama with 3 or 4 of those on it.
I think it was in one of the catalogues as a diorama at some point. Spencer will quite happily pop up in a minute and go, it was on page 27 of the 1974 version. They were like, yeah, all right, mate. Yeah.
I got to say, my one of my introductions to Tamiya was our local toy/bike/model shop, PC Simper and Son, and Ben, the guy who used to run it. I was in there one day, and there was a Tamiya catalogue on the counter, and I said to him, "How much is the Tamiya catalogue?" And he just said, "Have it." And I've still got it kicking around, still very beaten up and everything. But that was 1976. That was my introduction to the range, but it was also my introduction to the centre of the catalogue, which had a series of dioramas built by some Belgian bloke. Oh, his name escapes me. What was his name? Him, yeah.
You always made me smile because the Tamiya catalogue, if you think about like the Airfix catalogue or whatever, the Matchbox and Revell catalogue, they were basically just a list of things, and some of which were things they might do, or they announced they were going to do. And it was a sales tool more so. Whereas the Tamiya one felt different because everything in it you usually already see.
It was more of an annual, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was more like a look at this, and it was and they were always produced to a higher standard. They were always well produced. They always had things like Villenden stuff in it and things like that. And they just were different. I used to like look at, you'd go through it and think, oh, there was always RC stuff in the back of it that you couldn't get some of back in those days.
The answer to that is it was always called a showcase. It was never called. It was called a catalogue, but to me, I always said it's a showcase of what they do. Yeah. So, as is the case these days, 90% of the catalogue, year after year after year, doesn't change.
No,
it's still the same showcase. They may put a previous new release in from the previous year rather. They may have changed some of the artwork around, but in essence, it is still a showcase of everything they do, and it does include product that's not readily available.
Yeah, but I mean, I used to you'd sit and pore over it. And it was just a wonderful thing to sit and go through. I'll give it. And at one point, I probably had about 25 years of them. I gave them away.
Well, I went to Nuremberg back in, I don't know, 2012, 2013 rings a bell. And we went to Nuremberg, and they have a stash of catalogues because they do various print runs for various countries, different languages, etc. And we said, "Where's the catalogue?" We said, "We're not doing one this year." And it's one of those jaw hits the floor moments. You go, "Excuse me? No, we're not doing a catalogue this year. The internet is now the future, and it's all available on the internet." And I think to myself, this ain't going to go down too well. And it's not very often consumers complain about Tamiya. In fact, you probably, all my years with Tamiya, I could probably count the complaints on one hand. But by God, the kickback against not doing a catalogue, unbelievable. Unbelievable. You thought the world was caving in. And the following year, the catalogue was back.
Wasn't it an institution in itself, isn't it?
Some traditions you shouldn't mess with.
Well, you said it yourself, Ian. It's a collector's piece. Modelers collect the catalogue, and if there's a crease on the corner, or whatever else, they don't. It has to be pristine.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. It's well printed. Used to have high gloss paper. Absolutely magnificent production.
Yeah,
heaven forbid if it got damaged. But modelers collect them. Absolutely.
I don't think they've ever changed the standard of it since I first saw one.
There is less. The paper's lesser quality now. It's just part of what it is, but it's not a high gloss production anymore. It's.
I haven't seen a recent one, I must admit.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at one now compared to 10, 15 years ago, you see the difference. But they still produce catalogues.
We got some viewer comments here. Christopher Joseph Buchholz, he says, "I've only built 9 Tamiya kits in total." Goodness me. Really, Christopher? One F-84E, 1 Spitfire Mark 1, 2 P-51Ds, and 5 P-47s. If you count the kits in the stash, the number becomes higher. Jim Ortegot says, anyone remember the Tamiya 125th scale armor model series? Yes, they did.
Yeah, and we
still
still
get
get.
released from time to time, don't they?
They say the Tiger 1, which still gets released periodically. It's about due for a release actually, because it's been a good few years since it last came out. But yep, still demand for them. Absolutely.
They did Centurion.
Yep.
Yeah, in that scale as well. That's I built that years ago. That's a walking thing.
Jerry Doyle says, my first Tamiya kit was the 135th scale Panther. I couldn't believe how well it went together and the overall correct look of the finished model. I think it was 1987-ish. Ian Goldstraw, here we go. Evening all. First Tamiya kit, the venerable Panzer II with the 4 figures. Again, Spence and I built that middle of lockdown. What a brilliant kit. Absolutely.
It's remarkable how consistent the memories are.
Yeah, absolutely. David Fredrickson says, my first Tamiya kit was the 132nd scale F-14 circa 1977. I think that was
1981. That was released.
a bit later.
If you're going to start, go big.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was a splendid kit when it came out.
Joe Saki's build of that in scale model was just a tour de force, wasn't it? It was, one of those. It was one of those things that you just read for years and years afterwards, and dreamed of being kind of, having that amount of talent.
You can understand when you read that article. You can understand why Spencer holds the man in such reverence. Actually,
yeah, absolutely.
Mike Williams says, my first Tamiya kit was the 124 scale Mini Cooper 1275S Rally. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. It left an indelible mark on me, so much so that I've built it twice more since. My favourite Tamiya kit so far is the 148th scale Fairy Swordfish. Drew.
and you can use your pen to write the Tamiya minis back down, mate.
Well, just to add there, you may be aware that Tamiya have recently renegotiated the license with BMW because there's some RC cars in the pipeline. So I'm rather hoping now that as the minis come under that license now, that they will get re-released.
Because they're starting to fetch ridiculous amounts of money online.
Yeah.
Dougal McWoogle says, if Andy is making notes, can he ask for the reintroduction of the Daimler Dingo, please? Mini Art do a couple, but 3 times the parts count. And we'll just,
it's a request. It's a request show, Andy.
Yeah, it's a request show. Yeah.
Well, you knew it would become that at some point, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were going to ask me something, John.
Go on. Oh, yes.
You were going to ask me something.
I was going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you all. I know what the answer is going to be from you, Drew, but your favourite Tamiya kit.
Tomcat.
There we go.
The 48 scale Tomcat remains for me. Now, bear in mind, I have yet to even look in the box of the 48 scale Phantom. Never seen one. But for me, the 48 scale Tomcat remains the high watermark of Tamiya for me. I've built the kit 3 times now. Andy's got all 3 models.
Not personally, but they are.
Yeah. It is just absolutely the most remarkable model.
Yeah.
Every time I think about that model, I think I must build another. I must build another.
My friend Andy Brown has just been building the Phantom, Drew, and he reckons it's better than the Tomcat. So,
that's a big throwdown. That
I know. It's only to try and make you build one. Anyway, but
no, the Tomcat remains the high watermark for me. It is just the most glorious model.
Ian.
Oh, I could be controversial there because this is my favourite Tamiya kit I've ever built, and it will be a car, but it's not one of the F1 cars. The kit I built, I will admit I bought it from the Far East so I could get it quicker, and I built it, and it went in one of the magazines very, very quickly. But in fact, just as you were releasing it into the UK market, it went in print, and it was the Lexus LFA. the 124 scale Lexus LSA, as you can see that there is love built into that kit. Whoever the design team was in control of that kit loved that car. It's got magnetic attachment for the rear wing, so you can have the rear wing up, down, folded. You can open the bonnet there's a bonnet stay that actually magnetically attaches to the underside of the bonnet, so you don't lose it. It's not rattling around in your box. Those kind of little details. It's even got seatbelt fittings in it, if I remember correctly. It's an absolutely beautiful kit, and it built sublimely. Just stunning kit to put together. And occasionally people will say, if I want to build car kits, what's the one to start with? And that's usually in my top 2 or 3 to tell them. Although recently the new Tool MX5, the modern MX5 and the MX5 RF kits are usually the ones I'll point people at to start with, because they go together equally well. But that LFA, there's just something about that kit that sets it apart. I think I've done 2 now, and I did one. And I did 2, and I converted one to the Nürburgring edition as well.
That's good.
But it's just a beautiful thing.
Mine was the Williams FW07. I was a big Williams Formula One fan back in the day, and when Tamiya released that, I got all of that, and hopefully that'll come out again one day. But I think the turning point for me with Tamiya was the introduction of the RC range, because that took technology and design to a whole new level. And to watch them do the first kits and then progress how the engineering took off from there into what it is now, is a phenomenal rise to fame, and so the reliability and design second to none. And the best testimony we can give Mr. Tamiya, I think, is something that Adrian Newey wrote in his autobiography, the renowned Formula One car designer. And in his autobiography actually states if it wasn't for Tamiya and building a radio control chassis, he would never ever have understood or got into Formula One design. So I think if there ever was a testimony to the man and his business, then I think that is it. Fantastic.
I think that is a fabulous way to end this particular segment of the show. AF, we really do appreciate you coming on this evening. You're always more than welcome to come on and talk shop. So I think we will give you a few minutes of Mr. Tamiya, a few moments.
Can I just add one other thing, Jonathan?
Yeah, cool.
In case people don't know, but the star design at the bottom, designed by his brother Masso. Red means passion and blue means precision. And it was Mr. Tamiya himself, as the company was about to expand into Europe and the wider world, he needed a new design and a new strap line, and you probably all come across the words first in quality around the world. That was his strap line he designed in readiness for Tamiya's expansion into the wider world.
Would I be right in saying that logo has never changed either?
No.
Not since trying to think of the date now. 1962, 63, that kind of era.
That logo has never been changed. It's
never been changed.
Restyled. It's never been.
No.
That is the Tamiya logo.
And it was his brother who designed it.
Mm-hmm. We've got finally a little bit of housekeeping from Sarah Jane. She said Adrian Newey built the Tamiya 1/12 scale Lotus 29B, with which detail got him into design and engineering. I believe he has a signed box as well now. So
yeah.
AF, it has been a delight to have you on the show, and you're always more than welcome to pop back, and we will catch up in the week, because you and I have definitely got to catch up together at some stage. So
absolutely. But if you do get any more suggestions, just pass them on to me, because I'm always happy to receive them. Some may be a bit far off and not able to happen.
What for re-releases?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
the Mosquito NF13/18 with the full nose. That thing hasn't been re-released since 2002.
Oh, my word. Okay. Yeah.
No, and I remember building that one again when it came out. Built the Mark 6 and then that one back to back.
Yeah, I mean the fighter and the bomber are still available, but the fighter with the full nose has never been re-released.
It was the weakest seller of the three.
Oh, absolutely, and I get that. But it's come Come on,
Yeah,
it's
no,
Stuart. Come
absolutely.
on, it's Stuart.
Yeah.
It's Stuart.
Yeah.
It's Stuart.
The completists amongst
Yeah.
us will
You
want
know,
them.
just to give me a chance to stash half a dozen of them this time round.
AF,
But rest
Okay.
assured, the company is in good hands. There's another generation of Tamiya at the helm, Mr. N. Tamiya, and the world is it's a positive future. So happy modelling to everybody, and thank you for all the positive feedback. Lovely.
Here's
Yeah,
to Tamir.
cheers to
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr.
Tamir as
Tamiya,
well.
absolutely.
Thank you for your time, AF. We'll catch
No
up
problem.
soon. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye then.
Take care, Andy. See you soon.
Fabulous. Always fabulous to have Andy around. It's right. Shall we? I do declare we've got some news items that we can crackle on through. So, Paul, bless you, Paul. He says, I feel quite emotional after this. Well done, chaps. Thank you, Paul. That's very kind of you. Right. Armour. 72nd scale P51D. Now, at this point, people have been rolling their eyes saying, no, Mustang.
Not me.
Not you.
I think most people that build 72nd scale aircraft have been waiting for that one for a while.
Not me. It's
No.
you are never going to go wrong with a P51D.
Excellent.
You're never going to go wrong. You're never going to go wrong with a Focke-Wulf 190, a Spitfire.
If it's anything like as good as the BC, which Drew, I think you've built it. Have you built the BC?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I built it when it came out a few years back. It's a stunning thing. If that's anything like approaching the B/C, it'll be a corking thing.
Well, apparently, here is the clear sprue, which, as you can see, gives you the three different types of hood and other clear parts. But apparently, that clear sprue also turns into a jig as well.
It folds up into a jig, doesn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Here is a.
Actually, just to be a bit engineering about it, what it folds up into is a fixture, not a jig.
All right. Well, that just the.
What's the difference between a fixture and a jig, Jonathan?
Sorry.
One's a dance and one isn't.
Go
What's
on.
the difference between a fixture and a jig?
Go on.
A jig guide to cutting tool.
Right.
Fixture
Right. Well,
folds up in
I'm
position.
going to go full anorak here. That's not actually a sprue. That's a runner. That's a frame rather. And those are runners on it. And the sprue is the actual little attachment point between the runner and the actual plastic part. But we just call them sprues. Anyway, here is a breakdown of the kit itself as well. So we appear to have all options covered in terms of the two different types of fin fillet, non-filleted kind. I like the way they're trapping the tail plane within the fin.
That carries in from the P39. They did that on the P39. And it's brilliant. That's a brilliant way of doing it.
If anybody's like me, what they're mainly looking forward to is comparing us directly to the beautiful Edward kit to see what these manufacturers have brought to the table. But you're never going to go wrong with it, are you?
No.
Now, hopefully, one of them will do an Allison one next, but you're just never going to go wrong with a P51, especially a D model. You're not.
Oh, a P51, P51A to armor standard.
Well, that's
still my beating heart.
Yeah.
Well, this is precisely the point I'm going to make, which is that by doing a P51D, they've done a B, they've done a D, it finances the ability to then go and do the Allison engined version. So I think it's fair to say, Drew, that as and when this becomes available, I think we'll be probably building one, won't we?
I think we'll be looking it over very, 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 very
Question then.
Nice
Go on.
spot as well.
Sorry, question. Having provided us with a fixture, do we have any idea what it's actually for?
Yeah, it's for the undercarriage. It sets the undercarriage in position in exactly the
Now,
right.
when you're thinking, so why? Because the way they engineer stuff, you'll never get the dihedral wrong. You'll never get the tail out of true because of that trap and strap.
Yeah.
So I was like, what on earth is it for?
No, it's
Makes
for
sense.
setting the
Carriage rate.
undercarriage and legs correctly.
Otherwise, you end up with complex systems like a certain F-X Spitfire.
There we go. Christopher Joseph Buchholz says, Rearmor Mustang, it's a great day for all modelers. Cue Heavenly Choir. Right, next on the news tonight, and this is from Wolf 3D Resin Parts, which is the brainchild of Christoph Waltzberger, and this is going to be 3D printed PC7 in 70-second scale, 48th, and 30-second scale. So here is some CAD renders of the CAD itself. Looks to be very, very nicely detailed. The clear parts are going to be molded by, I had the note on that. They're going to be molded. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to think who's doing them for them. I wrote it.
SBS by any chance?
That might be.
They are the guys that really do the beautiful clear resin canopies, aren't they?
Oh, the notes disappeared, for goodness sake.
I'm seeing quite a lot of these things being done now where they're actually contracting out for an injection molded canopy.
Yeah.
The majority of it is printed, and they'll contract out for an injection molded canopy. Which I think Airscale have just done with the 30-second scale Defiant, haven't they?
Yeah.
Because that's a relatively smaller investment in tooling, and it's really difficult to print clear parts.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. It's I think Airscale may have been involved with the clear parts for this, or it might have been. They might have been the catalyst for it. I'm just having a look. I remember. I did mark it. I did write it down. I'm sure somebody will come along and correct us on that. But yeah, this does look rather tasty. Some very nice schemes. I actually prefer that one because I'm a dullard. But there we go. So here are the schemes for the Austrian one. So we get that rather colourful one with the snake running down the fuselage, and then we've got that camo one. There's the decal sheet. Decal sheet looks spectacular, doesn't it?
That's rough, isn't it?
So very important words bottom left. Yeah, that's the one in it every time.
Yeah. And they're also doing this Swiss one as well. And here are the
Dutch one, aren't they?
They are doing a Dutch one. I've just seen the artwork for that. But here are some of the Swiss schemes.
Yeah, I do like the red and white one on the left.
I like the right one with the dark color uppers.
Interesting.
Again, that's an absolutely stellar decal sheet. So it will be, cast resin, not injection. This is from Dave Swindle. And Michael Hooverling says, Aerocraft is doing the canopy. Thank you for saving my backside, Michael. So yeah, this does look rather tasty. Can't wait to see what they do with it, really. And like I say, it will be made available in 70-second, 48th, and 30-second, which means somebody will complain that it's not available in 24 scale.
Very obviously, yeah.
OBS. IBG. Now, Drew, I get the feeling this is definitely going to float your boat. IBG in 70-second scale are doing PR Spitfires.
Currently, they've got about 25 variants of the early Spitfires lined up, haven't they? So
this is doing Type A, Type B, and Type E. I do seem to remember you did a PR Spitfire for me for my book, didn't you?
Did you do a book on the Spitfire?
No, we did the Airfix Book of Scale Modelling, if you remember. And one of the things
nothing to do with that.
Yes, you did. You let it go, for God's sake, man. You built Airfix Mark 1 as a PR Spitfire in pink.
Sorry.
Just because
the giggles now.
The publishers forgot to put your name at the front. Let it go, really.
3 models, Ian. 3 models I built. 3 models I built for that book.
How long, though?
15 years
5
ago.
years? 15 years? Yeah, we'll never let that go, mate.
Decade and a half ago. Right, Drew, concentrate. Eyes on the prize. I think you're going to be down for one of these, aren't you?
I'll be down for the PR ones. If I'm honest, I'm really starting to suffer from Spitfire fatigue at the moment.
Really?
I'm sorry. I'll get over it.
What we've just said about the Mustang.
No, I'll get over it, but I'm really starting. I've got the TR9 to do, which I will do, and that's sort of half built. But I'm really starting to suffer from Spitfire fatigue at the moment, and possibly the only way out of it is for somebody to do a new range of Griffin engine Spitfires. But the PR ones definitely I'm interested in, and possibly others. We'll see.
They are cramming a lot of detail inside these, aren't they?
Yeah, and kind of.
They've got the camera bay right on the B&E, haven't they?
It's really difficult at the moment because I've just built, or I'm in the process of building, the Qatari 32nd scale 109 K4, and it's everything I want from a model. It's simple but detailed, and I look at overly complicated models at the moment, and I'm just like, oh, no, really. And I don't want to be. I'm not being a downer. That it looks like it's going to be a great release and all the rest of it. I'm just tired of Spitfires at the moment.
Oh, for goodness sake! To quote Oscar Wilde, when a man is tired of Spitfires, he is tired of life. Look, Mike Williams is joining in with you. He says, "Not another Spitfire, yawn. I love the Spit, I really do, but it's overload."
The thing with this is that IBG have done a very sensible thing. They've gone, right, we're going to do, in 72nd scale, as many of the Merlin engine Spitfire variants as we can in one go, all to a uniform standard. Yeah. So you're not going to be going from one brand to another brand to another brand to another brand necessarily to go, well, I'll have the Eduard one of them, but Eduard don't make one of them, so I've got to build that one. That allows you to pick up a consistent lineup. They're all based on the common core, so they theoretically should all build the same look. And
I think it's again,
a great way of doing it.
Like with the Mustang, you are not going to go wrong with a Spitfire. No, you're just not. But I'm just. I
think, but yeah, what I'm saying is, in that process, what they have done, and which is the thing, is they plug some gaps in what we had available before. So those PR aircraft, the PRA, BE, those, no one's ever kitted those before. No. Because what they've done is they've obviously spread their unit costs through all these kits, which allows them, like you say, the P51D might fund an Allinson aircraft further down the line. What that's done is allowed them to use all the ones that they know, because they're going to sell most of 1, 1A, 2, 5 probably, and 9. Yeah, but the other stuff in between that they get almost coincidentally out of that development core will sell in significant Contiche numbers, but not in the big numbers that you'll sell for a Battle of Britain Mark II or a Mark 5A or a Mark 5B. So I think it's a very clever piece of planning on their behalf. And
I would like to say, I mean, in spite of being relatively another Spitfire, if IBG are committing, I would like to see IGB commit.
Yeah,
I would like to see them commit and spend the next 3 years smashing out every Spitfire variant they can. Go through the 5s, go through the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, go to the 16, and then start on the Griffins. But I'd like to see them smash them all out to a consistent standard and really grasp the nettle on it and get and get with it. Not go, oh yeah, we're planning, we might do the 9s in 3 or 4 years' time and stuff like that. Because we're already seeing this with the Eduard MiG-21 series, is that the new ones that are due this year are effectively an entirely new mold from the ones that were released over a decade ago. They're saying we've used some of the same design stuff, but our tooling has moved on so far that they're a completely different generation, which means that you're going to struggle to put the MiG-21 F-13 next to the MiG-21 MF from 12 years ago and have a consistent lineup.
Yeah, I think so by doing what these guys are doing is because we know from those people who understand Spitfires from an engineering point of view, everything from, I got this right, frame 6, which is the back of the firewall, back to frame 19, which is the tail attachment point, effectively on every Spitfire, be it Griffin or Merlin, is the same.
Mhm.
That basic structure of the fuselage beaten in. Let me put it like this: this was beaten into me at great length by John Adams, so it's information I take on well, and to the point at which he and I went to Coningsby and measured, and it is so frame 19, which is the tailplane attachment point forward to in front of the cockpit, is the same on every aircraft.
There we go. Frame 5 to
Frame 5 to
19.
19.
There we go.
Thank you, Dave.
Craig
He might be with me on that trip, so it's his fault as well. But
Craig in New Zealand says, and Qatari PR Spits coming too. Good news. I do like a PR Spitfire. I've got to.
I'd say that engages me because I like Qatari based on what I'm experiencing at the moment, and the PR Spits do interest me. But yeah, I would like to see if IBG are committing, I would like to see them commit and really spend the next couple of years smashing the Spitfire range.
Yeah, because realistically, coming back to what you're saying, when you get up, only when you get up to a 21, post 21, so you get into 22s and 24s, and if you really want to do the F-23, the Valium as well, that you see a difference in wing and tail surface and everything. So realistically, if they kept that fuselage construct and the wing constructs the same and engineer all the variants, there's nothing to stop them doing everything from a Mark 1 right the way through to a Mark 21. And Drew will be very happy to build as many Griffin engine ones as he possibly imagine. We know.
Here we go. Griffith says more Spits, still no Bearcat. I can understand that for the simple reason that the Spitfire did undergo quite a lot of development. Bearcat didn't. And also Russell Taylor says, and Seafires. I'm with Russell on that as well.
That's what I mean. It's just there's a nettle to be grasped. And it seems that a lot of manufacturers grasp it a little bit and then let go of it, and then we're left with a one or two really nice tools, but a lack of consistency.
Yeah, that's what that's the point, isn't it? If these guys go right, okay, listen, from this point we can do all of these, and then they actually do all of these, and you have a consistent Spitfire lineup, they could actually put a lot of them other manufacturers. You look at Airfix's 72nd scale Spitfire offering over the last 20 years. It's up and down like a tart's underwear. Let's be fair. The PR19.
I do apologise for Ian's use of a colourful metaphor there.
But it's true. Let's be honest. The PR19 against the Spitfire 22.
Yeah, I mean, Airfix have undertaken to do as many Spitfires as they can,
but they're not.
But there hasn't been a consistent approach to doing them.
No, so if you get the PR19 out, you put it next to the newer Tool 72nd 22, and you try and cross kit or compare those two kits, there is no comparison on any level.
Yeah, Roy Sutherland says, talking with Arthur Bentley, the Spiteful fuselage was basically a 22-24 fuselage with a raised cockpit.
Yeah, you've got
and the 22-24 fuselage was basically a bubble-fitted Seafire 46.
Mm-hmm. Let's dive on with some more news now. This is DBMK. So they are currently...
Yes, please and thank you. Can I please have one now? Thank you.
48 scale F11F Tiger.
We waited for that.
Which is very nice, because how many injection molded kits have there been of the F11 Tiger, Drew?
There have been a few over the years, haven't they? I mean, Hasegawa did it in 72nd in 1981 or 82, I suppose it was. Which is odd because they'd done the Panther and the Cougar with engraved detail, and then released the Tiger and had raised detail, which was like, what? We're talking about a lack of consistency.
I love that Panther.
But and I think Lindbergh have done it at some point in some sort
Lindbergh,
of scale.
Didn't Lindbergh do the prototype?
Yeah.
Reboxed it for infinitely as a production area.
It's such a beautiful aeroplane. It really is.
It is. So they're working on a 48 scale F11F, and these are 3D printed test pieces, I do declare their intention is to injection mold this.
Yeah, this is injection molded. This is just test parts to
Test
see that the
parts.
CAD. It's just a CAD check just to see
Yep.
that the CAD they're working on is hanging together right.
But
That's
what
the Tiger.
But what they are releasing in 32nd scale is a de Havilland Hornet, and you will be able to make an F1, a PR2, or an F3 from the kit, and these are actual plastic test pieces.
I remember building the Dynavector ones when they
Yeah,
were
I got the Dynavector.
like the best thing in the world.
Yeah,
Look at that. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm going to go away now. That's beautiful.
and the thing is, the Hornet, even in 32nd scale, is a small aeroplane.
Yeah, it's whirlwind sized, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's let's take some at the size of a Whirlwind and plug two Merlins onto it and see what happens.
Yeah.
In exactly the same way as the Bearcat was, let's take some of a Wildcat size, plug a Hellcat engine on it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Mike Williams says, having seen those F11F 3D parts in person, I can confirm it is beautiful. And yeah, that does look rather nice, doesn't it? So
I'm interested that it's done as one part from nose to tail, because I kind of expected maybe they'd have done a separate nose for the early short nose variants, but that's a long nose radar variant.
Mhm.
So, if you know your Tigers,
Yeah.
it's a sad story with the Tiger, really, because it only actually saw frontline service for about 3 years. It was just left behind by the march of time so fast. Although the Super Tiger is arguably an even sadder story, and it was considerably better than the Starfighter. But a massive amount of bribery went into getting the Europeans to choose the Starfighter in the early 60s in that competition. But the Super Tiger with a J79 engine would have been a far better aeroplane.
Yeah.
Shades of the F20 Tiger Shark, isn't it?
Virtual.
Yeah.
No, there was no bribery involved in the Tiger
No,
Shark.
no,
The Tiger
no,
Shark
I meant-
it was just.
The Tiger Shark was a lovely idea.
Mm.
Eh?
The Tiger Shark was a lovely idea.
And it was a lovely idea as long as until Reagan came into power and just decided that everybody could have whatever F-16 they wanted,
Yeah.
and that just killed the market dead. Because up until that point, it was a really good competitor for the austere F-16s that were being offered beforehand.
So-
Mike Williams,
Rating engines on the original export ones, weren't they?
Mike
they
Williams
folded
says,
downwards.
don't fold the wings on the F11 though. It just looks odd. Right, this I hadn't planned this, but we've gone from Tiger to Leopard.
It's a Leopard.
Now, this is Meng. Now, as far as I know, Drew, is this one of their first 72nd scale armour kits?
Well, they've done a few now, haven't they?
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
I've not
Yeah.
been on my radar much then.
I've built a couple of their 35th scale Leopard 2A4s, and it's a lovely, lovely model. So I'm actually,
Ooh.
they've done the Panzerhaubitze already, and the 2A7, 2A4. I like it. I'm
My experience of their kits is the engineering is stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, this is obviously we'll be using the information from their 35th one. And you can see there, it's a fairly simple build, isn't it? It's there's nothing overly taxing about the build by the look of it, and you'll get a lovely little Leopard from it.
Fixing.
Craig Sargent says, have the Meng 72nd scale Merkava 4. Craig, if you could take some photographs and ping them up to us. God bless you, Governor. It's Meng, so of course it's going to look a bit tasty. Fabulous looking tank, though, isn't it?
It's just I worked out recently. Almost the entirety of my armor building over the last 10 years, apart from stuff done for Tamiya, has been Leopards. Has been Leopard 2s. It's one of those types that comes out in so many different variants.
You sit there. Oh, Drew's building a tank. Oh, Leopard.
Yeah, Yeah, it's an endlessly fascinating vehicle.
Yeah, and there's so many variations on it as well, isn't there? When you think,
Yeah, because everybody was able to sort of choose the package they wanted almost, and get exactly what they wanted.
wouldn't mind the bridge building version of that.
Yeah,
In 70-second scale, that would be manageable. In 35th scale, it would have been enormous. But in 70-second scale, the bridge layer version of that would be quite something to build.
Right, next from Rodan, not to be confused with Rodan, the well-known pterodactyl monster from the Toho films. They are doing in 144th scale, this has got Drew written all over it, a Convair XC99. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of historical blurb here. The XC-99 was an American heavy transport aircraft derived from the B-36 strategic bomber. Its first flight took place in 1947. Its Air Force service lasted from 1950 to 1957. The plane was the largest transport aircraft of its time and could carry 400 fully equipped soldiers or 45 tons of cargo. The XC-99 set several world records in its time and was also extensively used by the US Air Force during the Korean War. There was a project to build a transcontinental passenger plane on its basis, but this was cancelled. The US Air Force did not issue any further orders for the type, and the XC-99 remained a single prototype. Until the appearance of the C5 Galaxy, it was the largest in its class. I got that from Wikipedia. But yeah.
Yeah, it's almost a strange aeroplane, the XC-99, because although it was effectively, they built one, it was a prototype, but it served for about 7 or 8 years just doing its thing, just, as a transport aeroplane. There was no, it just quietly got on with being a transport aeroplane, in spite of having been a prototype, but they just never ordered any more of them. But yeah, it seemed to have done its job very well.
Was it Exactaplane? I think there's an American VAC-4 manufacturer, or it might have been Ed Dealey actually, who did a 70-second scale fuselage conversion.
Yeah, somebody did do that.
And I remember seeing one at Telford one year and just thinking, that's a big aeroplane. And it was yeah, but it's of its era, isn't it? Where they build a prototype.
Yeah, I walked around the B-36 at Castle Air Force Base Museum, back in the early 2000s, and it is just, you cannot appreciate the size of that aeroplane until you're up around and just sticking your head up inside the bomb bay and stuff like that, and it's like this thing is just, it feels so much bigger than a big jet of a similar size, like a B-52. It just feels just bigger and chunkier. Yeah.
You've got to wonder how successful as an airliner it could have been.
Is that going to feature on your modelling diet, Drew?
I would like to know. See, I haven't got one of the B-36s yet. It's just there's so much stuff coming out at the moment. It's a possible one. It's a possibility, but as I haven't even built one of the B-36s yet. I mean, an 144th is still a big lump of plastic.
Yeah, big old lump.
And also, Rodan tend to be quite expensive as a value for money option, equation. Their Galaxy was like 100 quid. Yeah, it was 89, 90 quid.
I remember when they were a cheap option. They were a cheap manufacturer with all them little 70-second scale biplanes and stuff they did, and they were like £8 or £9. And when I worked, so I didn't work for Beatties. I worked for their competitor up here, who arrived after Beatties was going. A company called the Model Centre, and we had them in the window. We had hundreds of them, and they were cheap as chips. And they did things like a Felixstowe F2A and stuff like that, didn't they? And they were great little kits, but they were a bear to put together. This modern stuff does look really nice, but that's a bit pricey.
Mm-hmm. Darth Bilius, I do hope it clears up soon. Darth Bilius 12. He says Revell did the Leopard bridge layer in 1/72 scale. They did. I just googled that. So well spotted, Wilson. Right, last couple of items for tonight, and we've got here an update from Airscale for their 32nd scale Hawker Typhoon, and their reportage says work continues on the 32nd scale Typhoon development. The whole kit is being redesigned to use injection molded main parts. So the wing you see here is binned, but the undercarriage bay has been repurposed into a unit that will fit the injection molded wings also shown. The injection molded parts are with the mold maker for review. They did my Defiant clear parts and are exceptional. So I have every faith if I can design it properly, it will be jaw dropping. Now they did ask today, which version would you prefer, bubble top or car door? I obviously gave the right answer, which was car door.
All of them.
All of the above, yes.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, that does look like somebody lying on the ground with their arm in the air giving you the finger, doesn't it? But or is that just me?
My metaphor.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
But if designed carefully, you can do a car door and you can do a bubble top as well. So
didn't Hasegawa go that route? And it's an absolute.
Yeah, but they had inserts into. You had to drop inserts into the fuselage, and they never fitted.
No, it was a bear to put together. I know someone who's recently done it.
I built it when it was released. I don't remember it being a bear, but it did require you to pay attention.
Modeler input.
And
yeah, I think Andy's ended up having to put a shim on the centre line.
Yeah, you had to shim it. Yeah, you did have to shim it.
Put the fuselage, the inserts into the fuselage separately, and then bring it together, and then shim the centre line. If you tried to put the fuselage together and drop the thing in from above, which I think the instructions suggested you did, it didn't fit.
Mm-hmm. Jim Aldcott says car door Typhoon for me. So yeah, we obviously wish Airscale the best of British on that, and look forward to seeing the results ultimately. Right, the next one. Goodness me, we are rattling through. We've got a new method of doing slides tonight, which is quite good fun. So the next bit of news, and this is from Belfine. They do a lot of kind of like anime stuff, but they're doing in 72nd scale. This is injection molded. The Dark Star from Top Gun Maverick, which it looks entirely plausible, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not. It's not a ridiculous design by any stretch of the imagination. There are issues with it that would go with it being a Mach 10 aeroplane, but it's not. It's within the bounds, shall we say? Is this resin or
no injection molded? Be plastic.
Because I know somebody's done a resin one of these, and I just assumed it was.
There's definitely a resin 3D printer on it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Plastic model kit.
Sorry, I look at that, and the first thing that came to mind was the Italeri XF19.
Yes, I know the one you mean. Yeah.
God knows when ago. The pair.
1986.
Yeah. When pre F117 announcement.
Oh, the F19, yeah.
F19, yeah, that they marketed it as a stealth fighter. They did a Russian one as well, didn't they?
MiG-37 Ferret.
Yeah.
Which ended up looking so much like the YF-23, didn't it?
No, not Ferret. No, it was.
It was all angular.
Yeah, but it had that trapezoidal wing and the outwardly canting fins that was very reminiscent of how the YF-23 ended up looking. So, but yeah, this looks. You know what? I think I'll put myself down for one of these if I can find one.
I like it, but the thing that makes me suspend my disbelief is the undercarriage. I know that's sad, but
no, it's entirely practical, isn't it?
Well, it's like when you think that the SR-71 needed special undercarriage to deal with the heat, and that was only going Mach 3.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be Mach 10. It's kind of like, with me, it's always tiny little things like that it doesn't make me suspend my disbelief.
Well, my question is, where does it go?
Sorry?
My question on the rear main undercarriage is, where does it go?
Oh, it's probably a door that opens to
Well, no,
like an Eagles door.
It's like where's the engines are immediately inboard of it.
Oh, we'll just buy one and find out, won't we?
The thing is, I've not seen the film, I will admit, but I've
No.
seen some of the clippy bits that appear on various social media, and I've kind of gone,
It's a nice. I quite like the design. I do.
cool looking thing. I'll give them that.
It's a nice
It's
design.
you know, from a moment of cool, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's great. I'd rather have
And it's been a great diversion for Lockheed.
Yeah.
Because Lockheed have kind of run with it in a lot of their advertising and stuff.
Yeah,
It clearly doesn't exist.
I'd rather have a Firefox, please, in the same from the same.
Yeah.
thing.
But yeah, it clearly doesn't exist. But Lockheed have locked into it as a nice diversion in their advertising. So
Right. Smoke and mirrors, isn't it, really? Here we go. Meng, 35th scale, FT-76. Tiny little French tank. Which
probably smaller than that 72nd scale Leopard they're releasing.
Yes, just a bit. Includes resin parts, as we will see. So it looks like the resin parts cater for the new turret. Yeah, this is absolutely minuscule, but I like it. I like it. I really do.
I was trying to work out what was different. I've just realised it's a self-propelled gun, not a turret,
Yeah.
not a gun tank, isn't it? Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I was trying to work out what they've
I
done.
don't dislike it. I consider me amused.
The FT-75 seems to have been done by a number of people, so it's like kind of a why question. You know, why is the
Interesting
FT-75
subject.
so much
Probably
interest to the
lots of-
Chinese kit manufacturers?
Lots of colour schemes. I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But Ian, you know, you always get these people who come out. They're on the sidelines and they're always like, "Oh no, not another Tiger, not another Sherman," and it's like, well, there's your answer. It's an FT-75 BS. So
Yeah, I think the BS is possibly important. But joking aside, it's not that I'm not saying that we shouldn't have another kit. It's just can't quite fathom why we need, because there's 2 or 3 companies have done it now, and it's like,
here we go.
you know, it was an odd one that loads of people would do. Kind of, I wondered why. Do they sell in massive numbers into the French and European market? Possibly. But I don't
I mean,
know.
I think the one thing we never really get access to is Chinese sales figures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very much overlooked that, you know, as much as we dislike Trumpeter's British subjects in 48 scale because they're almost universally terrible as replicas, you know, there's countless, you know, a 1.5% of 1.4 billion people is a lot of people buying a kit a week and building it.
Yeah.
So we have no access to what China's you know, sales statistics are like, and I bet they are just, you know, they are eye-watering compared to Western sales figures. So that will probably go on sale for a decent price in China and in the domestic market, and sell multiple thousands a week.
So that refers back to that 12th and 20th scale stake Sauber kit that we've been waiting for, because that appeared at first solely to be for the home market in China, because it was being marketed through a couple of was it Weibo and things like that, which are kind of Chinese marketplace stuff only.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I think because certain people in the West cottoned onto it, it may well be now that's why we're going to see it over here, because they're going, oh, well, you can have a few, but the Chinese market will just swallow it in enormous numbers. So yeah, it's an interesting point, because see, if you look at the proliferation over the last 20 years, 25 years of the Chinese kit manufacturers. We started with Trumpeter,
Mhm.
and everybody was like, yeah. And then suddenly we had hundreds of them, really, if you look at it.
Yeah.
You know, your Mengs, your Tacoms, your Ryefield, all these people have come into the market.
And a lot of them have fallen by the wayside, and new ones
Yeah,
are popping
already.
up all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
and stuff gets churned over as well. You get some stuff coming out in other people. Well, hang on, well, that's so and so, yeah, but they don't exist anymore. So now,
But it's the same. It's kind of like the same thing where we kind of like have to appreciate that as enthusiasts, we're not Airfix's core market.
yeah,
In exactly the same way, we have to appreciate that to all these Chinese manufacturers, we're a side issue.
yeah.
We are just we are barely even registered to them compared to what their domestic market must be like.
Mhm.
But there's so many of these kit manufacturers now. I mean, we will. I was expecting at some point we had some Trumpeter stuff on the schedule tonight, and
We
then-
we were, but we'll keep it for another time. We'll keep it another time. We've got some comments here from Lox9, who says the FT was the first production tank to have its armament within a fully rotating turret. Historians have called the Renault FT the world's first modern tank. But here's the kisser. Over 3,000 Renault FT tanks were manufactured by France.
that's a juicy number.
That is a juicy number. Right, last news item for tonight. And oh my goodness me, I genuinely think this has got Drew written all over it. He's going to roll his eyes. Or he's
A
gonna
lot
tell
of
me-
this this evening got Drew written all over it.
I've geared a show especially for you tonight, matey. Seeing as you'll be up this way this time next week. When you'll be up here a week yesterday for the Avon show. It's a week today is the Avon show.
Next Saturday, yeah. Next Saturday, Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, come on, laddie, get with the program. So this is from Micromere, and it's this.
That's
It's
a
the
ridiculous aeroplane, isn't it?
the Myasishev M50,
Wow.
which still exists, I do declare, at Menino.
Yeah.
It just looks, what a fabulous looking thing. It's
It's
straight
completely
out of
Thunderbirds,
Thunderbirds, isn't it?
It's Thunderbirds from.
Yeah.
People say the Valkyrie looks like it's from Thunderbirds. No, it doesn't. This looks like it's from Thunderbirds because only Jerry Anderson would stick to great big afterburning engines on the wingtips.
Yep.
It's yeah. It was a hugely impressive aeroplane, but was basically a failure.
Was it another single prototype?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was one of those, everybody was trying to get higher and faster all the time, without realizing that you however high and fast you were trying to go, you still weren't outrunning the current generation of surface-to-air missiles that were coming along, which is why everybody switched to low level. But it's a hugely impressive design, and it flew, yeah.
I've got it in my head that the engines in that, the power plants in that, were basically, the E155, the YE152, the top upscale
Big interceptors,
21. Yeah. Basically, it's effect to all intents and purposes like the fuselage of two of them, one strapped on each wing, because it's that power plant, isn't it?
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't know, but yeah, I think it's
something somewhere. The memory is definitely not right tonight.
I'm on Wikipedia at the moment, so I will delve in to tell you what the power plant is. God, look at that! It's a monster, isn't it? It's an
Fabulous thing.
absolute monster. It's a
Joe
bounder.
Youngerman there. Engine failure at takeoff would have been sporty. Come on, Joe, you've got 2 feet. There's rudder pedals. Come on.
It's an
Yes.
absolute bounder. This one.
What's 35,000 pounds of asymmetric thrust to you?
Here we go. Let's just let's get rid of the images. There we go. That's what I was trying to show you. but
it's massively impressive, isn't it?
it's a big lump in it.
But it is like 100% Jerry Anderson. I love the fact that even the nose undercarriage is a 4-wheel bogeylet.
Yeah.
There's a drone on YouTube somewhere. There's a drone fly around all the way through that field at Menino. It's about half an hour long, and they just basically go up and down each aircraft above and below, filming it with a drone. You want to say that how did they get permission? But I suspect as it's in Russia, they did. But that thing, it takes them about 5 minutes to fly down it because it's that something big.
And I think one of the things that needs to be appreciated is that as much as, you know, we had this long history of saying, oh yeah, the Russians, they just copy our technology and all that kind of stuff. You look at that and you go, yeah, we had nothing even remotely similar to that.
No.
Ever fly. I mean, there might have been, you know, the British design houses have got a long and storied history of producing drawings, you know, more drawings on the back of fag packets than the Germans did at the end of World War II, none of which ever even came remotely close to being built. But the Russians tended to, or the Soviets, I should say, tended to get on and build it, fly it, and see what happened.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, that's a YE152-1.
It's a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, you think a MiG-21 is kind of that big.
Yeah, I do. I like all of those designs. They were all fabulous looking designs.
The engines on that Myasishchev M50 were the Dobrynin RD7, which was used on the Tupolev Tu-22, the Myasishchev M50, the Myasishchev VM-T, and the Caspian Sea Monster.
Sea Monster.
Really?
Yeah, thinking about it, if you think about all those podded engines in the front. Yeah.
Somebody at some stage is going to bring out an injection molded 144 scale Caspian Sea Monster.
The Com have already done it.
Yeah.
They've done the ballistic missile launcher variant. It's
an impressive piece of kit when you see it built. It's chunky as anything. It's a proper thing. It's probably 10 or 15 years ago, isn't it, Drew?
I am hopelessly behind the times then, aren't I? Right, gents. Any other business?
I don't think so. No, I think everything else can wait now, can't it?
I'm building
everything else can wait.
Well, I mean, we haven't done projects or anything, have we? And we're sort of 136. So,
I think we'll keep that for next time. We'll talk projects next time. It's a shame, really, because I've got my camera set up and everything. I've actually got it perfectly square tonight. But see, look, perfectly square.
Likewise. Tonight. Yeah, look. Mine's there as well. Look.
There we go.
Look, I'd even blanked off the tail. Look.
Yeah, very good. How very noble of you. Oh, go on then, Drew. Go on. No. No, go on. Look, I've done you now. Go on. You can have your 5 minutes.
Oh no, it's just the Qatari 109, which is still, because it's been summer here. It's been crawling along, but we're getting towards final details and finishing and weathering now.
Is it as good as we think it is?
Yes, absolutely. Good. It's bearing in mind this is a second tooling, a second sort of iteration. I think the one that's currently been released is a 4th iteration, so it's even better. It's an even better build than this, and this is pretty much a flawless build. But yeah, nearly everything on there, all the stencils and the little markings, the decals, everything else is masked and sprayed. That's actually looks quite nice, doesn't it?
It does.
It's and again, I'm surprised at how small an aeroplane it is. Really, that's 32nd scale, and it feels like handling a 48 scale aeroplane, really. But yeah, I've just got right now I've got a collection of odds and sods coming together to be painted and detailed. That's the That's the Qatari 109K4 that's just finding its way to people now.
Do you know what? The thing I like about those late 109s, especially when you start going through to the very late Gs through to the Ks, not only do I think they are the most aesthetically attractive of the Messerschmitt variants, but they also have the most interesting color schemes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've kind of this is using Eagle Designs, is it Eagle set of decals, and I've kind of modified the paint scheme even from that instruction sheet based on the Edouard kit and what we know about it, what we know about these 109Ks at the end of the war. So, but I like it. I think it's a beautiful looking aeroplane, and the kit is it's quite glossy, isn't it?
It is.
It's quite shiny.
My memory of the K series 109 starts with the Hella 72nd scale kit.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh,
which was a great kit.
Yeah.
It's really cool in its time. That
I've got one of them up in the loft actually. Yeah, got that. Right,
So, yeah.
that's it for tonight, folks. Goodness me, we have hour and 40 minutes. This has been a marathon. Just want to say a big thank you to Russell Taylor and Simon James Colley for the links. Thank you, gents. Big thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight. Fingers crossed. We'll be back next Sunday for another Sunday service. Then after that, it will be a Sunday car service, Ian. So,
yes, it will. Lord, we're going to talk about because it's gone very quiet in my world.
Yeah, well,
We'll talk.
But yes, a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight, and obviously a big thank you to Mr. Andrew Farmer for giving up part of his Sunday evening in the fire escape trade to. It was going to come along. No, but a big thank you to AF. In fact, I'm just going to say, such has been how busy our lives have been. That at the moment we both, AF and myself, we both still have our respective birthdays to celebrate. So I'm hoping we'll cram a cafe trip or two in at
that sounds like tea and cake all round.
It does, yeah. Well, there'll be tea and cake next week, Drew. Don't worry. You'll be looked after. So until the next time, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. And we'll see you all very, very soon. So
take care, all. See you later.
Bye for now.